Hi there, everybody. It's Jeff C. here on Saturday. Beautiful sunny Saturday here in Montreal. It's nice and getting warmer in Montreal, so it's very refreshing. And we are coming back doing our podcast. I believe we'll be on tomorrow. We're going to be discussing Monsanto. It's going to be a real fiery, lively discussion. We've got a lot to talk about, no doubt. In lieu of recent events. I'm here today to talk about Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey has released this song. It's a parody of Charlton Heston. This was earlier this week. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but it's been all over the news this week, and I have been responding to it. Fox News has really been on it. And it's a strange day. It's a strange day for me, where I'm actually find that I'm on the side of Fox News, or I'm actually defending Fox News, because anybody who's listened to our show long enough knows that we're no we're no fans of Fox News, but they are bang on right when it comes to what Jim Carrey has done. I think the first thing that people have to remember about Jim Carrey is that he is Canadian, like myself, like our crew. We're all Canadian. And here he is appearing on American television. He's doing a parody. It's kind of like the old Hee Haw show, where he's making fun of Charlton Heston for his stance on firearms. Of course, Charlton Heston, the late Charlton Heston, was better known in his later days as being the president of the NRA. And in his most famous NRA speech, he held up a rifle and said, "From my cold dead hands." My cold dead hands, meaning that the only way the government is going to get the guns away from him is when he's dead, sort of thing. And at the time, I have to admit, I mean, that was back when Bowling for Columbine and all that was happening. I was very much against guns. I don't own a gun. I've served in the military, so I fired them. But I don't own them. I don't really feel the need right at this moment to have one. Although, if I was in the United States, I'd be stocking up right now. And here's a Canadian, so he's Canadian, he's doing his parody, and he is making fun of Americans, particularly rednecks, Southern Americans, right, for their love of guns and their support for the Second Amendment. So I'm going to play a bit of what Fox had on earlier this week, and I'll comment.
Are you getting dumber and dumber? Well, the comedian's gone off the rails on the issue of guns in America, and this time Carrey's going after gun owners in a music parody called Cold Dead Hand that mocks them and late NRA President Charleton Heston.
Only the devil's true devotees could profiteer from pain and fear. Charleton Heston movies are no longer in demand. His immortal soul may lay forever in the sand. The angels wouldn't take him up to heaven like he planned, 'cause they couldn't pry that gun from his cold dead hand.
Bizarre. All right, well, Carrey also tweeted, "Cold Dead Hand is about you heartless mother," and then curse word. "Unwilling to bend for the safety of our kids. Sorry if you're offended by the word safety." Greg, you're barely able to contain yourself.
He is probably the most pathetic tool on the face of the earth, and I hope his career is dead, and I hope he ends up sleeping in a car the way his life began. This video only made me want to go out and buy a gun. He thinks this is biting satire, going after rural America and a dead man. Let's talk about Charleton Heston. Charleton Heston was one of the first actors to be behind the civil rights movement in March. What did this jackass Jim Carrey do? He was behind the anti-vaccine panic. There's 60,000 people that died from measles last year, according to the World Health Organization. Jim Carrey has killed more people than all the rifles combined. He's a dirty, stinking coward. He's a moral coward. He did a video attacking rural America. He wouldn't do a video about gangs, which kills way more people with handguns. He wouldn't do that because he's too worried about his career. He's such a pathetic, sad little freak. He's a gibbering mess. He's a modern bigot. He's a modern bigot.
Can you tell us how you really feel about it?
He's a modern bigot of insecurity. And the desire for acceptance is why he's doing this, because he knows in his heart that he's a fraud.
And not nice to talk about Charleton Heston.
The Charleton Heston thing is the thing. Here was a great man who is dead and cannot defend himself. And this little dirtbag, this little nobody.
It's also what he said about Charleton Heston.
Yes.
Okay? I know we probably can't say it, but basically he's questioning the size of his manhood.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
That is like the cheapest of all jokes. And I love your point that he wouldn't have made a video about gang violence in Chicago.
Hell no.
Where's that parody?
Yeah.
And you're not going to see Clint Eastwood come out and do that parody because he's got class, dignity, and grace. Remember when President Obama said, well, in that secret recording, that they're clinging to their gods and their gods and guns? And then they apologized for it and they've moved on, everyone moved on. But you know what? Is what they really think.
Yeah.
And not only did he make fun of Charleton Heston and rural America, he did a terrible hash of making fun of country music.
Mm-hmm. He's as edgy as a frisbee.
He really is. I haven't seen a movie with this guy in how long?
Mask.
That's the point.
And Pet Detective or something.
One with Dick and Jane.
You remember in Pet Detective he talked out his butt?
Yeah.
Well, that's what he's been saying. Look, here's clearly he's looking to be relevant. It's to try and somehow stay relevant, and that's what a lot of liberals who are also celebrities try and do. Keystone Pipeline people, it's just over and over and over. Use the outrage factor to try and get shows to talk about what they said. I mean, clearly, Greg, the most important point is that he put it in a rural setting. He's saying, look, you people in the middle of the country,
White redneck.
Hold on, you bitter claimers to your Bibles and your guns, and like there's something wrong with that. I put on my Twitter thing up top where describe yourself.
Yeah.
Bitter cleaner. Well, thank you, no problem.
That is in your bio description.
Jim Carrey, I'm still. You know what? You're going to make more people buy guns. That's what they're going to do.
That's what Greg. Yeah, Greg said.
I'm fairly strong on my feelings about guns, but I really don't like the idea of a foreigner coming in here and trying to get into the middle of this debate. He's from Canada, right? I mean, they're our friends. We like the Canadians.
Don't say anything.
But I think it's probably a wise idea if you're not from a particular country to get into that country and begin to get in the middle of their politics. I mean, we don't need that sort of thing.
I don't understand the attack. So if his point is that he wants to reduce gun violence, okay. But why go after rural America? I guess his point is maybe about background checks. But this is a guy that, if you really wanted to turn his guns on somebody, would look at his own backyard in Hollywood. All of those video games, all of those movies, they're not being made in rural America. And what's being emulated out there by nuts like the murderer in Newtown, Connecticut, it's that type of movie, behavior, video games that could possibly be a link. It's not rural America.
Yeah. If Jim Carrey shows up at, I don't know, a movie premiere or something, and his security's there, do you think they're...
No, of course.
Especially now.
And you know that he has a gated community and a fence that rivals any troubled embassy in a country. You can't get into his place. I've tried. You know, I approached him because the reason why I approached him on Twitter is because he dropped this video on Twitter. He was looking for a response, and so I would engage him. But he ran away. He insulted a bunch of people, and then he ran like a little baby. He's such a little sad freak.
A lot of emotion on this.
Yeah, it's good. Normally, I hate these motherfuckers. Normally, right? And I do really. I mean, they say a lot of fucking stupid things every day, but most of what they say here is true. First off, starting with the fact that Jim Carrey is Canadian. You know, it's one thing for someone like myself or our crew from Canada to talk about Canadian things and, talk about American politics and to critique and all that. But it's another thing to appear on American television and, get yourself deeply involved in a huge debate. I mean, this is it's an enormous debate, and as someone who was always anti-gun for a very, very long time, the events over the last couple of years have completely swung me the other way. As dangerous as a single human being can be with guns, there's no comparison to how dangerous a totalitarian or a tyrannical government can be, especially if the people have no way to defend themselves, which is the way that I see it, is that they want complete control, and the only way that they're going to get complete control is to disarm the Americans. And so this is a coordinated attack against Southern Americans who tend to really like their guns a lot more. It's a big part of their culture, hunting, just going to rifle, shows, shooting ranges, things like that. Who are we to tell these people that they can't have their lifestyle? Who are we to tell these people who often live very far from major urban centers? Therefore, the only way that they have to possibly protect themselves and their families, in the dead of night or any time during the day, if they're at home and they're far from any police station, they could be hours from police stations. You absolutely have to have a gun in those situations. And here we have this Canadian coming on, basically a tool. I mean, he is a tool. I mean, whether it's a conscious decision by him. I mean, I think the limousine liberal is the term I like. When you get these John Travoltas and Jim Carreys and Susan Sarandons and all these types that, they live in a different world. Jim Carrey, as I think it was this guy here pointed out, I mean, they live in gated communities. They don't go anywhere without at least a couple bodyguards who are armed. And then they sit at home in their mansions, drinking their pina coladas or whatever, their single malt scotch or whatever, and in their jacuzzis and with their giant screen TVs, and they see things like the Sandy Hook massacre, which is 100% fucking bullshit. Right? And then, the stupidest, they start thinking in their head, Americans are gun-loving nuts. They're so stupid. They're inbred. They're idiotic, especially the Southerners. We're gonna go after them because it's just stupid, and it's such a low blow. It is really embarrassing for me, being Canadian, to have a Canadian, really get themselves involved. It's very, very much. I mean, I had very harsh critique of the British pundit there that they have on CNN. I can't even remember his name right now. But this douchebag that they brought over from Great Britain, who night after night after night after night, Piers Morgan, night after night, I mean, he is a forgettable fucking douchebag, isn't he? Comes on and tells Americans how stupid they are for wanting to have AR-15s and stuff like that, how insane they are, how crazy they are. Well, just look up in your skies and you can see the drone planes. You can see, if you read the news that is out there, you can see the billions of rounds of hollow tip bullets that the Department of Homeland Security has ordered. There's horribly dark things that are happening within the United States right now. And one thing that I do find refreshing is that here, at least, we can see that on the right side of the political spectrum and the right side of the media here, we have Fox News. They are not on board, obviously, with Obama's plan to, destroy the Second Amendment. They are not on board at all, and therefore, it's refreshing. I hate to say it, but I gotta agree with most of the points that they made on this particular segment. Now we'll switch to one of our favorite libtards here, the Young Turds, and let's see what Cenk the Turk has to say, the guy from Turkey.
So Jim Carrey has done this funny little song on Funny or Die. It's called Cold Dead Hand. It's a parody, obviously. He's got Charleton Heston in it, and he plays this cowboy character, country singer. He plays Sam Elliott at one point. He's pretending to be on hee-haw. It's against gun nuts, if you will, right, as he would probably characterize them. And it's pretty strong. So Fox News has lost their ever-loving minds over it. Oh, how dare he! So first, Sean Hannity shows the part of the song they are so outraged by. Let's watch.
Charleton Heston movies are no longer in demand. His immortal soul may lay forever in the sand. The angels wouldn't take him up to heaven like he planned, 'cause they couldn't pry that gun from his cold dead hand. What did he say? It takes a cold dead hand to decide to pull the trigger. Takes a cold dead heart, and as near as I can figure, with your cold dead aim, you're trying to prove your is bigger, but we know.
That's awesome. Now, of course, they're like, how dare you got Southerners there, and you're trying to portray them as hicks, and you're against the people who have guns, and I'm your Fox News. Okay, you think I'm...
Oh, Cenk, I hate your fucking shtick. I hate it. I hate when you give your opinion. I fucking can't stand it. I hate this motherfucker. Alright, I fucking hate this motherfucker. You know, the Young Turds do some good things. They've gone on about Monsanto. They've covered some issues that are important. But when it comes to shit like this guy is a fucking tool. He's a fucking tool. And he's got an enormous fucking audience. Let's see if I can show here. Look at this video has gone up. I'm not sure what's the date, 27th. So it went up a few days ago. It's almost got 300,000 hits already. Enormous audience, huge influence, especially on the youth. And you know, it's a very simplistic thing for Mr. Uygur to divide it into a black and white argument. You know, here's the smart people. Here's the liberals, the limousine liberals. Aren't they lovable? Aren't they great? And here's the dumb rednecks. Who wants to stick up for the dumb rednecks? Oh, well, it's Fox News, right? Because only they could stoop so low. I tell you sometimes, and just to be clear, I here in Canada I vote Liberal, or I've even voted NDP, so I am not a conservative. But sometimes the worst of the worst comes from the left, you know, or the pseudo left, like these guys. So let's listen on to this guy and see. Hopefully he doesn't do his thing again.
Watch all of these different Fox News hosts lose their minds.
He is probably the most pathetic tool on the face of the earth, and I hope his career is dead, and I hope he ends up sleeping in a car the way his life began.
The not-so-funny left-wing Hollywood actor who drinks way too much caffeine, Jim Carrey.
It's supposed to be funny. It's just not funny.
Jim Carrey getting dumber and dumber.
He's a dirty, stinking coward.
What's important here is a career sputtering.
No, you're allowed to make fun of white Southerners
And Christians.
And Christians, yeah.
He's such a pathetic, sad little freak. He's a gibbering mess. I mean, he's a marionette, and he's fading, and he's saying, look, I'm still relevant. I'm not aging.
Clearly, he's looking to be relevant, to try and somehow stay relevant.
Carrey has not been funny since, I don't know, The Truman Show.
He's a Learjet limousine liberal with a bodyguard.
He has a bodyguard already that is armed.
He has the luxury of being protected by, I would imagine, an armed security person.
Jim Carrey has a bodyguard,
and then there happens to be some beefy guy that has one in his pocket when he goes out to award shows.
There's New York, there's L.A., there's D.C., there's Chicago.
Then there's the rest of this country. You know, people that believe in the Second Amendment, freedom of speech.
Well, I haven't seen a movie with this guy in how long?
He's a modern bigot. He's a modern bigot.
The mask to perhaps direct our attention away from the cold, dead career.
This video only made me want to go out and buy a gun.
You know what? You're going to make more people buy guns. That's what they're going to do.
He insulted a bunch of people, and then he ran like a little baby. He's such a little sad freak.
It really is about as edgy as a handball.
He's as edgy as a frisbee.
I really don't like the idea of a foreigner coming in here and trying to get into the middle of this debate. He's from Canada, right?
Here's a guy from Canada lecturing us about guns, mocking half the country.
A wise idea, if you're not from a particular country, to get into that country and begin to get in the middle of their politics.
I loved every piece of that. Oh, this not so funny guy said Greg Gutfeld? Please. Greg Gutfeld, oh, this little sad freak. Okay, I hate to bring it to you, but Jim Carrey has made a small fortune, tens of millions of dollars. As capitalists, you should celebrate him, right? Being funny. That's what he does, and apparently he does it well because the markets reward him heavily for that. When's the last time he was in a movie? He's in a movie right now, Burt Wonderstone. When's the last good one? Liar, Liar, Bruce Almighty, Ace Ventura. I could list you 10 others.
Liar, Liar, Ace Ventura, whatever else he said, those are fucking crap movies. Alright, so.
They did pretty well in the box office, right? So I love these guys. Oh, this guy's career is over. I know, Gutfeld, your career is taking off. And you can criticize his career. And then so many great hypocrisies in there. You know, how dare they criticize the middle of the country? Those bastards in New York, D.C., L.A., and Chicago. Okay, you know all those cities are also in America, right? And
yeah, but he said middle of America, all right? What he meant was, why is it from New York, Boston, Washington, L.A.? Those are on the edges. They're talking about the middle. They're talking about where a large gun culture exists. But no, let's just all do your shtick.
And I love the resident liberal, Bob Becker. Oh, this guy's from Canada. How dare he? Frickin' Canadian. That's the best you got? So why are they so angry? What is it about this thing? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, this is their core audience. They think this is when they step up, and as O'Reilly would say, they defend the folks. Folks, we got your back. We're not going to let that Hollywood liberal get away with this. And then, man, Gutfeld was in a Twitter storm. He's going nuts over this. He says, among 100 tweets, comparing Jim Carrey to Charleton Heston is like comparing a wart to the Sistine Chapel. Charleton Heston was in Planet of the Apes.
True, man.
What is it about Republicans that love all conservative actors that do movies with monkeys? Whether it's Reagan or Heston, how dare you, Sistine Chapel? Just calm down, okay? Now, he's not calm, and we begin to get to the source of his anger in this tweet. One definition of a coward, Jim Carrey's a guy who expresses an opinion, then hides. No wonder you're miserable. But wait a minute, he's not hiding. He did a whole 5-minute video taking his views and rubbing it in your face, saying, yeah, this is what I think of you. You loser gun freak. What part of that is hiding? Well, it turns out Gutfeld was hurt because Jim Carrey, and he says this at one point in the interviews, wouldn't respond to his tweets. Oh, that's so sad. He said, oh, he's got these 10 million Twitter followers. What happened? I thought he was irrelevant. He's got these 10 million Twitter followers, and he won't even respond to me. What a coward. Oh.
Yeah, what happened? I thought he was irrelevant. Well, Cenk, you could check out the Free Radio Revolution video, which I did on Twitter. And we can talk about the most relevant people in the world, according to Mr. Fat El Oaf here from Turkey. I think number one in the entire world was it Kim Kardashian or was it Justin Bieber? Right. So if credibility is being given by how many Twitter followers you have, then well, you know, then we should only be listening to these you know, completely airheaded pop stars who have absolutely nothing to say about anything. And if they do come out and say things like Jim Carrey has come out and said, it is from their own limousine liberal point of view. You know, they are isolated from reality. They are completely isolated from reality. They don't step into reality. You think Jim Carrey goes shopping at the local grocer? You know, and if he does, he's sure as shit got his bodyguards with him, right? And going back to his gated community. And this motherfucker is coming out and telling people you are a sick fucking lunatic for wanting to have a gun. It is. It really, it almost is racism in a sense. I mean, you know, as I said before, most of these, I mean, the people that they're parodying, and look at the video, what a fucking joke. I mean, it's clever, it's well done, it's catchy, right? So they know how to do this shit, right? It's not, this is how they've done it for so long. It's sort of the Saturday Night Live formula. And look at what you had in the video. You had, John Lennon and Gandhi in the background, you know, in the band, because, you know what, Jim Carrey's views are the right side. They're the, you know, all the good people would agree with Jim Carrey. You know, there isn't an evil government that wants to disarm all Americans to, you know, when the economy crashes, then they have a disarmed population, and it's pretty easy to round people up, especially the troublemakers, right? These people are not in reality. They are living in a different world. A guy like this, I don't know where he gets his news from. I imagine he sits around and chuckles and watches Fox News clips and then reads the New York Times and thinks he knows what's going on. And then he gets on his show and does his fucking shtick, which I just can't fucking stand, right? And, you know, everything is black and white. Well, the people, these guys criticizing Jim Carrey, well, they're fucking lunatics, right? Or the Southerners who want to protect themselves, want to protect their families, well, they're fucking lunatics, right? They're just dumb, inbred, fucking stupid-ass motherfuckers. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just want to shoot people. You know, that's the problem. That's the problem. There is nothing more dangerous than a government that is out of control. The only thing more dangerous than a government that is out of control is a government that's out of control, that is controlling a population that cannot defend itself. These guys are fucking clueless to what's really going on, and they are spreading disinfo, whether willingly or unwillingly or just fucking cluelessly.
Who's trying to be relevant now, Greg?
You are.
Awesome. But it's not just that. I'm sitting here looking at this. I mean, this is visceral anger. Not just defending the folks, not just you're, you know, hurt over the fact that Jim Carrey won't respond to you because you're nothing compared to him in terms of, you know, media success, etc. And then I got it. You notice in the song, especially if you watch the whole 5-minute clip, keeps going over and over to how they have a small penis. And they're trying to compensate for it. And it has Charleton, Heston playing with a rifle and stuff. Oh, that got under Gutfeld's skin for some reason. So, what do you mean? What do you mean small penis? Not me! Not me, somebody else. That's not me. Definitely not me. How dare this guy? I'm trying to defend the people in somewhere else, like in Kansas or something. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so he's basically implying that the Fox critic has a small penis and therefore is acting out his anger. It's just ridiculous. In the first place, the fact that Jim Carrey is insinuating that guys like Charleton Heston arm themselves because they have a lack of you know, growth down below. You know, it's just a way of belittling people without listening to their point of view. It's a way. It's a straw man attack. It's an ad hominem attack on people, and the fact that this guy has to point it out. And look at his little grin right here. He thinks he's figured the whole thing out. You're so proud of yourself, right? You know, this is a real problem. I mean, I can go on and on about media. I find that sometimes the most dangerous media are these pseudo-left, liberal-type media that they're right on a lot of issues. There'll be a lot of issues that they'll be on the right side, exposing stuff. But then when it comes to the really, really important stuff, then you get this stupidness that just seeps through. It's like there's a point where their brains just can't function beyond. They cannot see the bigger picture. Now, Young Turks are doing well. They got a ton of followers. He's making money. He's feeling pretty good about himself. We can get that for sure out of what's going on. But these guys are dead fucking wrong, and they are misleading the youth of America. To say that people don't need guns, to say that wanting to have guns to protect yourself is stupid. It's compensating for your lack of penis or something like that. It's just fucking ridiculous. All right, we have a belligerent, out of control, tyrannical fucking government that is intent on destroying the Constitution of the United States. And these motherfuckers, these guys should be all over this, but they're not, because they're so stupid. They're just stupid. I mean, that's the only thing I can say about this guy. He's just stupid. He just doesn't have the capacity, the brain power to be able to see the bigger picture. He's just looking at the little picture. And he thinks he's got it all figured out, this fucktard. He thinks he's got it all figured out. I tell you, I wish I could punch him in the stomach every time he started doing his thing. Because, man, he really needs to he really needs a dose of reality. Anyways, these things get me angry. I apologize if I get or I go on a profanity-laced tirade here. But I'm seeing what's happening, and this is not good. And fuck these guys like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey hasn't done anything. I mean, he's a good comedian. There's no doubt about that. He should have stuck with stand-up comedy. That's what he was best at. Or late-night television. I guess that's what he's doing again. Movies are fucking crap. I haven't watched any of them. But anyways, you guys make up your own opinion. Leave your comments below and subscribe. We shall be back. We've got big stuff to cover, and we're looking forward to hearing from all of you. Take care.